Also, Sokka decided he wanted snuggles now. You put your tail there, don't flick it at me. Hi everybody, it's me Rebecca, and last week I released a really long video about things I did to help myself feel better and get through being depressed. And the recording of that ended up being close to an hour, and the actual video 39 minutes. And it was also full of triggers I noticed myself, and in that video I had an anxiety attack, I started crying, and it was really emotional. And I thought that, yeah, if that triggered me, that's probably gonna trigger a whole bunch of other people who may not be in a good position to watch something like that. So instead I'm going to make this week a shorter video where I just go through the things I've done, instead of getting on the emotional level that I was last week. Yeah, this is Sokka. He's very social, but he does not like being in my lap, though he does like being in this basket. So we're compensating, or compromising. Okay, so the first thing that was on my list last week was breathing. And I know it's really cliche, it's what everyone tells you to do. It's the standard #1 tip when you're feeling anxious or stressed. You're supposed to breathe. And I'm bringing it up anyway, because for me it really works. What I do when I start to feel anxious, when I start to feel, that tight feeling of panic welling up inside me, or just, anxiety, I take a really deep breath where I fill out my lungs, my body, not to the point where it's painful. I just make sure I fill myself with enough air that all the stress and tension doesn't have room to fit. And so I take a deep breath, I hold it for a few seconds. Usually I feel my heartbeat and wait a few heartbeats, and then I breathe out and try to get out as much of the stress and tension as possible during that breathing. Some people it helps to count. You can, for example, breathe in for 8 seconds, hold that for 7 seconds, and breathe out for, I don't know, 5, 8, 7. There are different ways of doing this. Another one is doing it in a square, which if you've seen Orange is the New Black, they try to tell them to do that. And that is breathing in for 4 seconds, holding it for 4 seconds, breathing out for 4 seconds, and holding that lack of breath for 4 seconds. Yep. And I know for some people that really helps to count when you breathe. And there are different patterns that I do not know that are designed to help you relax. But as I said, I don't do that because that stresses me out. Ironically, because then I have something else to focus on, and it just makes me feel stressed. So instead I do it in a more flexible way that suits me just fine. When I recorded the video last week, I started doing this without thinking, because it's something I've been doing for a long time and train myself to do, and I just do it without having to think about it. And that is really good for me, because it means I'm actively calming myself down when I get stressed, even without having to actually do it on purpose. But also being conscious of your breathing really helps. The second thing I have done a lot, especially last summer, actually when I was feeling not actively depressed, but not good, like when I was getting back into life and life was kicking me. And that was taking long, angry walks, or emotional walks. Because the act of physically moving forward really helps. Because you're kind of running away from your problems without actually running away from them. And I like to play a lot of music when I do this, walk fairly fast to the beat of the music, really get that pulse going. And it helps me distract the conscious side of my brain, the part that is usually the one that's tense, and instead just let myself go through the problems, go through the emotions work them out whilst working out. And by the time I'm usually done walking, I'm a bit sweaty and I feel emotionally and physically a lot better. When you move and walk around for an extended period of time, your body releases endorphins, which are, well, happy hormones. Now also when you're really depressed and in the middle of an attack or just in a really bad place, it's really difficult to get outside and moving. That has happened to me too. What I did usually was wait until I was not as anxious and was able to just run away. And I did. Well, walked away briskly. Yeah, I did. I have been abandoned. And that it takes us to number 3, which is shaking out and forcing myself to relax. And that sounds really weird. But usually when I start to get anxious, start to go down, I tense like crazy. My shoulders right up, my fingers like cramp because I'm just tensing. And so what I do when I notice that I am tensing is try to shake out my hands, because usually those are the ones that gets the most tense. And I can do this. And also take once again a deep breath when you notice your shoulders rising up, and just let them fall down and breathe out as much tension as possible. And this only works if you notice that you're stressed and tense, and sometimes you don't. I just, when I'm not having a proper anxiety attack or panic attack, when I'm just generally anxious, I tend to notice that I'm tensing up, I'm stressing up. So I try to do something to alleviate it, and that is one of the things. The worst thing for me about being depressed, and the thing that still triggers me a lot, is feeling like I don't do enough. Like I am the laziest, most worthless person in the world who never gets anything done, and I am just pathetic and weak, and I am so useless I can't even work. I just have to be homesick and I can't even get stuff done at home. Probably sounds familiar to a lot of people. And those thoughts are not good at all, and they really push me down, and they are also not true. Because A, you're sick. Mental unhealth is an actual thing. It means you're sick. It means your body and brain is fighting you from doing stuff. It's like you wouldn't expect someone with a broken leg to run a marathon, because that is physically impossible and extremely painful. And pushing yourself to going into life when you're not well is very harmful, and usually for me it just made me feel even worse. But also when you're homesick, you tend to do a lot of stuff, actually, even those days when you're just down, and just don't feel like you do much, you're still doing stuff. And so what I recommend is making a list of the things you do and share it with people who care about you and, well, are your support network. It can be family, friends, siblings, spouses, random online people you have never met but still talk to a bunch. I did this. I wrote down the date, and then I started listing the things I had done. I'd work on this list like a little during the day, and that means writing down things you do that are purely good for your emotional health or your well-being in general. It can be things like managing to drink water, getting out of bed, getting dressed, taking showers, brushing your hair, because that is difficult, brushing your teeth, having breakfast, eating a meal with vegetables, cooking a semi-big meal. that wasn't just cereal, or even eating cereal. Eating and taking care of yourself in general is so draining and so important, and if you manage to do anything at all that is to take care of yourself, or even try, that's awesome. I know how difficult it is to get out of bed. Sometimes it took me 5 hours, sometimes more. But usually it helped that I cats yelling at my face. No, but still, getting out of bed is hugely difficult. And if you manage to do that, then write that down and show it to people. Tell people that you really need support right now, that you're struggling in life, which I know this is difficult. But if you can do this, then it's a huge ego boost, because you're holding up something, like basically holding up a piece of paper saying, look, I did stuff. And then you have people who care about you, validating you, agreeing that yes, you did do stuff, good job. And that helps so much. And maybe you're having a good day and you manage to do a few things like laundry, or take out the trash, do the recycling, go into therapy, or to hospital, whatever. And you write these things down, but then in the end of the day, maybe you feel like, oh, I could have done more, I didn't do enough. Then take a look at this list. Show it to other people, because you are not the most reliable person to judge yourself right now. So have someone else do it. Someone who cares about you, who loves you, who knows how you're struggling. And have them look at this list of all the things you have done and say, no, it's good enough. This is awesome even. I did this for several months when I was really depressed and on medication, and it really helped me. And this next thing, number 5, is the exact opposite of that list. It's taking a mental health day. And what is that, you may ask? It's taking a day off from doing stuff or work or school and allowing yourself to take care of yourself. It could be that you're feeling really drained, or feel like, okay, I'm starting to go down the spiral again, I'm going to crash soonish. I need to take it easy. I need to take care of myself, and just go do that. And you may think that, oh, but I could take a rest during the weekends or evenings, but sometimes that isn't enough. Like when you're sick, you can't plan when you're sick. And on weekends and evenings, you usually have a lot of stuff to do and you're already tired. Now, of course, you can take a mental health day on a weekend. That, of course, works. Putting aside a day just for being, well, just for taking care of yourself. It's really good, because you allow yourself to feel those things you're doing, take off all the pressure, which usually helps make you feel a lot better, and just do whatever feels good. Maybe it's just lying on the couch, maybe it's playing games all day and not worry about your mental recovery. It can be whatever you need at that moment. And I've done that several times. I still do. When I feel like I'm starting to get really stressed out, I'm not doing good, it's been too much this week, I need to just take a day and not do stuff. Because that happens. Sometimes I haven't gone to school because I felt bad, like I'm starting to spiral, like I'm going down the rabbit hole, and I just need a day off. Now, I mentioned earlier walking and going outside and moving around, and that is difficult to do when you're not good. And going to a gym or being around people sucks. So another thing you can do, that you can do at home, that actually made me work up a sweat and like exercise, is yoga. Because it's a kind of a slow form of exercise, where you bend and stretch and tense up and relax, and it's usually a bit of meditation in the end. And for me, that is really good. I really like doing yoga. I haven't done it in ages, but I do like it. And there's a lot of free classes you can find online and walkthroughs, even on YouTube, where they take you through a basic yoga class. And And often when you're not doing well, you're not moving around much, or you're kind of huddled up a lot. Doing something where you stretch those muscles out and like tense and move around is really good for your body too. And also for your mental health, because once again, moving around and releases endorphins. And that is something I can really recommend. And usually those kinds of classes you find online are really supportive and point out a lot that it's alright if you can't do this thing, or if it feels painful, or if it's just not comfortable, then don't do it. This is all individual, take care of yourself first. A big problem for me during my bad days, and sometimes still, is the inability to fall asleep. Because insomnia is a big and fun part of being depressed. That or just sleeping so much, which I also had. Still have sometimes. And I know you can do things where you go through, like, I have done everything I could have done today, tomorrow's problems are just that, and I deserve to go to bed. But for me, it didn't really work. It does for some people, but for me, I just kept going in circles. And so what I did, this was also during a time where I couldn't read books, so audiobooks was not a thing I could really handle. Because I couldn't relate to other people's problems. That was meditate. And I know it sounds weird, like I was supposed to go to sleep, so why am I up meditating? That wasn't what happened. It's something, what I liked, and still do, is something called a body scan. Which would mean for me that I would lie down comfortably, usually on my back with my arms at my side, so nothing was touching anything, because that distracts me. And then they do a thing where you scan your body mentally from the top of your head down to your toes, and then you start working on relaxing body part by body part. And it's a funny feeling when your legs are completely relaxed and heavy, and your rest of your body is not, and it feels like your legs are just like sinking through the mattress. It's a weird feeling, but yeah. And these exercises really help me relax, because, well, you're being productive at doing nothing. I know. And you're also taking care of yourself. So you're doing something productive, you're doing something well, but also by... Hey Leo. But also you need to relax in order to do it, so you can't relax more by trying harder. And usually for me, focusing on a body part and focusing on relaxing, calm music, a soothing voice, that really helps. I would fall asleep before I got to like this part of the body. I like starting from the bottom and working my way up. And there are a lot of different meditations, there are a lot of different classes and stuff you can do for when you need to fall asleep. And sometimes I'd fall asleep halfway through them. I like the long ones, so I could do that. Wake up when they switched to a different track that I wasn't supposed to listen to right then, or I was using SoundCloud and it switched to something completely else. I just wake up, I turn that off and just go back to sleep. Also, going to things like therapy is really important, and these are just things that worked for me. It does not mean they will necessarily work for you, and that is fine. You can ask a mental health professional for other tips, and there's a lot of resources online where you can find tips and tricks and help with dealing with mental unwellness, mental problems. And I am not a mental health professional, I'm just someone who's gone through this and I'm starting to feel better. And so I wanted to share what I have done in case it helps someone. And I hope I will see you in the next video. Bye! Did you catch that? That last video was called Tool Shed and it was really long and like really big. And this one is called Toolbox because it's smaller and compact and just has the essentials. Huh? Never mind. Tea.